what I found the most interesting regarding the assassination of Nuno Loureiro, here's a guy who was a renowned professor at MIT. Now, when you think about the top schools in this country, when you think about the top schools, particularly when it comes to research, MIT, the two schools that come to mind aside from MIT are probably Caltech and Stanford. That's about it. So,
this story was not talked about. This story was not even covered. I didn't know about it really until you said something, and then I looked it up. But this is really scary, actually, and it connects Trump's dots to what, the nuclear thing, the nuclear program with they're merging.
So I'm going to pull an article first that I think has more relevance here because I'm pulling it directly from MIT. Forget the corporate news. This is news coming directly from the institution. Nuno Loureiro, professor and director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. How about murdered at 47? You can't even say the word murder. In his 10 years at MIT, Loureiro helped illuminate the physics occurring at the center of fusion vacuum chambers and at the edges of the universe. Look, Forster Grant glasses, maybe a Bob Mackie jacket, nice tie. Looks like a decent
I'm so disappointed in MIT's journalism. Like, this is really bad. First of all, I know that they're engineering school and that journalism isn't their thing, but they do have some pretty brilliant people there. First of all, you don't say dies in the present tense. Died. Even if the fact that you're using died as if it just happened.
Why can't they say killed?
Oh, they could say killed, but you wouldn't say kills, just like you don't say dies, like as if it was something that he just did for fun. Yeah, he sails, he dies. Like, that's just not, it's journalism 101. Thank you.
A lauded theoretical physicist and fusion scientist, Loureiro joined MIT's faculty in 2016. His research addressed complex problems lurking at the center of fusion vacuum chambers and at the edges of the universe. Loureiro's research at MIT advanced scientists' understanding of plasma behavior, including turbulence, and uncovered the physics behind astronomical phenomena like solar flares. He was the Hermann Feshbach Professor of Physics at MIT and was named Director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center in 2024. So Lord knows what he's accomplished in the last year had a lot of people concerned. Through his contributions to fusion science and engineering began far before that. His research on magnetized plasma dynamics, magnetic field amplification, and confinement and transport in fusion plasmas helped inform the design of fusion devices that could harness the energy of fusing plasmas, bringing the dream of clean, near limitless fusion power closer to reality. And you know what? I don't need to read anything past that, because in the end, what would be the motivation to take out a man like this? Money and power. And that's it.
My only question is that people like this gentleman don't necessarily work in a vacuum, right? So he has notes, he has probably assistants, he has people that he works with. And just because you kill a person doesn't mean you kill an idea. And it just like everything else, you slow it down. So that really was what they're trying to do. They're just trying to buy some time. And it has to do with whatever merger or deal that Trump has going through right now with something. So, because you're not going to stop it from happening. There's other people. Yeah.
The history of science in the 20th century was not told from the heroics of Nikola Tesla. It was told from the heroics, supposedly, of Thomas Edison. And therein lies the difference, because Tesla was as impactful and creative a mind as Thomas Edison, if not more so. But that's not how history wrote it. And the same is true for those that get in the way of capital. That's really what it comes down to, especially those that are currently in power. Again, champion of plasma physics, fusion power, which I can remember, guys, playing the game Sim City when I was a kid, and them talking about in the year 2050 we'll be running on fusion power, and the planet will be free of pollutants for the most part. Now, of course, if the powers that be had their way, that of course could never possibly happen because there's no money in clean power.
So do you think they just got rid of him because they didn't want him to get to a solution? Or does he know something?
Well, this is the clip that you sent me. I want to make sure I give a shout out.
Always make sure this stuff's in the description when we use these things.
Yes. So this is coming from Dave Norton. So Dave Norton has an Instagram page, and here is the research that he's providing regarding what may have been the reason why Mr. Loureiro met an unfortunate end a couple of nights ago.
Conspiracy theorist, but there's obviously connective tissue between the top nuclear fusion scientist at MIT being assassinated in his home on Monday and Truth Social merging with a nuclear fusion firm this morning.
Well, they can't even wait for the body to get cold for them to show what their true intentions were. $6 billion with a B. And in the grand scheme of things, what's $6 billion? That's not that much in the world of science, engineering, and obviously power sources. $6 billion's nothing. That's just the start. But could it be a gateway to billions upon billions of additional dollars that are going to be used for the purpose of different types of energy expansion? Or perhaps there is really no way to stop fusion from becoming a main source of energy that we would be using. But then it's a question of who controls it. So if some professor at MIT has the means to control the source of the power, but multinational corporations decide, it's not how it's going to work. We're getting that technology. Maybe he was threatened. Maybe they said, hey, you got to give up the tech. And he's like, I ain't giving you shit.
I don't know. I just don't find this coincidental.
I don't either.
For $6 billion, you'd give Stephen King a hard time for making those plot points happen in the same book. Come on, this is too far-fetched. The president can't wait just 3 days after the top nuclear fusion scientist in the country is assassinated in the same industry that you're now merging your social media company with? You gotta be fucking kidding me! Oh, and here's a fancy little footnote. The government of Russia, through the joint stock company Rosnano, invested in TAE in October 2012. And the Rosnano CEO, Anatoly Shubais, became a board member. Other investors include the Wellcome Trust and the Kuwait Investment Authority. Guys.
Right. See, so Russia, they're oligarchs just like us.
Russia, really? Russia. You know.
Yeah, people think Russia's the bad guy. Yes, they're the bad guy. They're all the bad guys.
No, well,
it's empire, capitalism, and oligarchy, and it's destroying us.
Well, for the purpose of empire, you always have to have a scapegoat. You always have to have, point a direction to somebody and say that's who did it. But in reality, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of power, and that type of energy. It's not a question of can you stop it. It's a question of who's going to control the means of production. And if some professor at MIT thought he was going to control the means of production, and Big Brother, if you will, comes in and says, yeah, that's not how we're doing this, who's going to protect him? Clearly nobody. And do we really think we're ever going to find the assassin? Just like the assassin, again, all of these stories, trust nothing, believe nothing, and trust your instincts that everything is a conspiracy. That's kind of where I'm at this point.
I just think it's so off the wall that it's just happening in like plain sight. We're watching this. Like, does anybody really believe there's no connection to a 47-year-old man dying? By the way, it just says died. He just died. Okay. He just died. And he's
like down a flight of stairs.
He's like this preeminent nuclear fission specialist. And that's the same company that Trump's truth. Like, you can't make this shit up.
No.